Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 12th biology students, and this is meant for 27th November 2020. As all of us know that we are into the revision mode and we are revising chapter number 13, organisms and populations. And basically we were reflecting upon the various abiotic factors and their interactions with the biotic factors. As we defined yesterday, any ecosystem for that matter is a place, it's an area, it's a place, something like a garden, something like a lake, okay? It's an area where abiotic factors as well as biotic factors coexist and they are in good state, they have good interactions. So there are two interactions basically in any given ecosystem. One, interaction among the biotic factors such as plants and animals or between plants and animals, and second is interaction between the plants, animals versus abiotic factors. And basically we said abiotic factors can be temperature, can be heat, can be light, can be water, can be moisture, can be salinity that is existing in the water, all this. So they do interact with the spaces and influence the very lifestyle of biotic factors. Hence, the organisms that can undergo certain adaptations and then survive happily in a given ecosystem can be said to be successful. So to be successful in any given ecosystem, biotic factors need to undergo certain adaptations. The adaptations can be morphological, can be physiological, can be biochemical, etc. Well, basically let's see how these organisms respond to abiotic factors. So in the course of evolution, many species have evolved constant internal environment. What is that constant internal environment? Technically we say it is homeostasis, and that permit all biochemical reactions as well as physiological functions to work with maximum efficiency, to have overall fitness of species. What is the target? What is the aim? To achieve overall fitness of the species. How to achieve? By undergoing biochemical as well as physiological adaptations to the environment. So organisms try to maintain the constancy of its internal environment, that is homeostasis, in spite of varying external environmental factors. The various ways to establish homeostasis. So basically we have got three types of organisms in a given ecosystem. One is the regulators, which are maintained constantly by undergoing physiological and biochemical morphological adaptations. So they regulate their body temperatures or internal constant environment. And some of them are conformers and some are partial regulators. What are these regulators? As the name suggests, regulators are the organisms that regulate their homeostasis. How do they regulate their homeostasis? By having constant body temperature, constant osmotic concentration. And to have that body temperature, organisms need to have thermoregulation. By having constant osmotic concentration, the organisms have to maintain osmoregulation. And we know that osmoregulation can be achieved by having osmoregulators, like kidney is osmoregulator in our own body. Thermoregulation can be done through thermoregulators, like we have got skin in our body which is thermoregulator. So these are the sources of success in all the mammals in the given environmental conditions. And it is a common observation that in summer, when outside temperature is more than our body temperature is fixed. That's why we are warm-blooded animals, 35 degrees centigrade. But when outside temperature during summer, see Gulbarga boys, Bijapur, Bagalkot, Koppal, Ballari, you all experience the temperature soars up to 45 to 46 degrees centigrade. So there is a vast difference of 10 to 11 degrees centigrade between our temperature and outside temperature. How our temperature will, how our body will adjust to that much difference, 10 degrees centigrade, we sweat profusely, we sweat often. And when we sweat, That means that's an indication that our body is trying to adapt to the heat, excessive heat. So that results when we sweat, a lot of evaporative cooling. So we get relief from that excess state. And once we get the cooling effect, that brings down our body temperature. So in winter, we start to shiver. Okay, this is also common observation. All of us are having it. It's a kind of exercise that produces heat. So more you shiver, more heat will be produced, and that makes us warm. Of course, don't think that the body temperature will raise or come down. No, because we are warm-blooded animals. Our body temperature remains fixed to 35 degrees centigrade. So don't think that during winter our body temperature will go to something like 40 degrees or 45 degrees. No. Okay. Only thing is we will feel warm and we feel cold. That's only feeling. Then second, conformers. Most of the animals and plants, their body temperature change with ambient temperature. That means as the body temperature, as the environmental temperature goes up, some of the animals like camel can increase its body temperature. And when in the night times, when the desert temperatures fall down drastically, the camel can bring down its body temperature to almost at par with the outside temperature. Plants also do that. So those such animals where there is fluctuations in the body temperature depending upon the environmental temperature, they are called conformers. So in aquatic animals, osmotic concentration of the body fluid change with that of ambient water osmotic concentration. Again, fishes, for example, all the aquatic animals, they do change their osmotic concentration depending upon the solids that are present in the water. What we call it as the osmotic concentration, or water osmotic concentration, or external osmotic concentration. These animals are called conformers. The animals that can either increase or decrease their own body temperature depending upon the outside temperature. Second, the animals and plants that can fluctuate their osmotic concentration, their cytoplasmic concentration based on the outside medium osmotic concentration. So such animals having this fluctuation facility are called conformers. So conformers are not able to bear the energetic expenses to maintain the constant body temperature. So heat loss or heat gain is a function of surface area. Since small animals have a larger surface area relative to their volume, they tend to lose body heat very fast when it is cold outside. Then they have to expend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. How do you generate the heat? Through metabolism. So this is the main reason why very small animals are rarely found in polar regions. So this is the reason, because of the surface area. And then third type is migrate. The organisms move away for a time being from the stressful, now I want you to put this, stressful, unfavorable habitat. Like you must have seen birds in your own native place, that in a particular season you see new type of birds in your village, new type of birds in your hometown. And after some months or so, some days or so, they disappear from your village because they must have come from Russia, they must have come from Australia. So when these winters are very severe there, they migrate to India. Like Rangantettu, Mysore, very famous. All the birds from the world will come to Rangantettu. So this is migratory habit. So this migration is one of the adaptations to escape from the unfavorable environmental conditions. And move to where? To move to more suitable habitat and return back when stressful period is over. Many birds undertake long distance to migrate to more hospitable areas. Of course, you know the most famous one is Arctic tern. Arctic tern is expected to be migrating place to place and covering the entire world, though it is a small organism. And Siberian birds migrate to Kilado National Park, Bharatpur, India. And second, I said our own near Mysore, Rangantettu Bird Sanctuary. Worldwide birds come there, and that's migration. And then another adaptation technique is suspension. So in microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, and lower plants, a thick-walled spore is formed which help them to survive unfavorable conditions. I think if I'm correct, it is called cyst. So a spore becomes a cyst during unfavorable conditions. That is, if this is the spore, when the unfavorable conditions start, the spore develops many layers around this and make a thick one. And that spore with a thick wall to withstand the unfavorable conditions is called cyst. Cyst formation will be there. So this many layers appearing over the spore wall is to tide over the unfavorable conditions. So these spores germinate on return of suitable conditions. Once the favorable conditions come back, these layers will dissolve and disappear, and the spores will generate. And what is that we human beings need to learn from this? When, like we have got a saying for Vijayanagara, all Vijayanagara boys know it very well. When going gets tough, the tough gets going. So when the spore finds it tough to go, and the spore becomes a cyst and makes spore to cyst, and cyst becomes the toughest, and the toughest one go ahead. And not only going ahead simply by surviving, what this spore will do is its cytoplasm will be broken into pieces, and each broken cytoplasmic piece cytoplasmic piece will become another spore. That means from one spore under unfavorable conditions, it breaks into many spores, and on release, when favorable conditions return, this cyst will release thousands of spores. Look at that. That is the greatness of spore. And this is what we should learn. Now that we are under COVID-19 situations, I know life become very tough for us, but then being science school boys, you need to learn that tough only can get going. And it is not just merely overcoming this COVID-19 situations, but this is the time that all of you being board exam boys must utilize these tough conditions, become tough and get highest marks. How to get that? As just like cytoplasm is breaking and forming pieces, each piece of cytoplasm becoming a spore, like that. Every minute that is available to you must be utilized for your studies, and that should make you to have edge over other school children. I hope you understand, and we all should learn a lesson from this spore. And I'm understandable that you need to score. It goes without saying that you need to understand this. The tough gets going only, it will not die. So the spores germinate on return of suitable conditions. I'm sure things will not be bad forever. Things will become suitable for us, for all of us. When things become suitable, we need to produce thousands of spores like a cyst, and you need to produce thousands of marks. That's what I aspire for it. In higher plants, seeds and some other vegetative reproductive structures serve the means to tide over periods of stress and help them in dispersal also. The metabolic activities are reduced to minimum during this dormant period. So minimum metabolism. Then another important one is that of hibernation, another technique, adaptation. The condition or period of an animal or plant spending the winter in a dormant state, means sleeping throughout the winter. The animals sleep, like bears, they sleep during winter. But remember, even though they are sleeping in the winter, whole summer they work. Do not think that, do not entertain yourself that yes, COVID-19 throughout the year let me sleep. Then you will sleep forever in your life. So don't have this hibernation. But then estivation also, that is the condition or period of an animal or plant spending the summer to avoid heat and desiccation in dormant state. That means when the temperatures are soaring, when temperatures are high, some of the animals like snails, to overcome the higher temperatures, they take rest during summer. But remember, now hibernation, winter sleep, estivation, summer sleep. But you should not have any sleep. You need to sleep only for 7 hours in the night. Rest of the 24 minus 7, you must study. Okay? And then diapause, a stage of suspended development in zooplankton species in lakes and ponds. So these are the various adaptations that animals undergo to suit themselves, to be successful themselves in the given ecosystem. Let us learn lessons from the environment.